Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Mudd, a fan of South Plains politics. Here's your talking points for this week. Hundreds of overdoses, dozens of deaths here every year, and Lubbock County leadership has had enough. So they're hitting back at drug companies where it hurts them the most.
I'm Anna Warnicki at the White House. We spoke to President Trump earlier this morning, who says Congress needs to pass the USMCA trade deal this year, or there may not be a deal. I'll have that story coming up.
From the studios of KMAC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points with Bryan Mudd.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Also this week, voter identification. In recent years, we've talked about all the forms of ID we can bring with us in order to vote. But in this case, that also means candidates identifying themselves to voters. Name recognition means a lot because in the end, a lot of us will just vote for someone we know over someone we really don't know. Take, for instance, District 83 State Representative Dustin Burrows. He's been deep in his own controversy over the past few months. But so far, no one with any more name recognition than him has filed the proper paperwork with the state to run for the job. So regardless, that makes him much more likely to win back his seat. Well, especially when the Lubbock County Republican Party's executive committee and others take out a full-page ad in the Lubbock Avalanche Journal endorsing Burrows. No John Frullo on this list, but it's a group meant to deflect any potential challengers who might have a name that you might know. But truthfully, the list of names you really need to pay attention to for the next election will be these. You see, these folks so far are the only ones who have filed to run for district court judge positions here in Lubbock. Tell the truth. How many of you either skip voting for the judges, take a wild guess, or choose someone you've kind of sort of heard of, or maybe you just took the safe route and pressed the straight party button so all the candidates of your party of choice are automatically selected? But you can't vote straight party anymore in Texas. The governor signed that bill over the summer. Some say it now forces us to pay more attention to all the candidates. Others say it's meant to have a negative effect on minority voters or Democrats. Our Phil Prazen looks at a study that shows a lot of voters just won't bother.
The report came out of ACC's Center for Public Policy and Political Studies. Peck Young heads the center and says looking at similar states, 16 to 17% of voters will just tire out before the end of the ballot.
They're used to walking in there and saying, just a minute, Mildred, I'm voted, let's go get some coffee. Now they're going to be sitting in there going, hello? How many of these blooming people are there?
They looked back over 28 years of data on straight ticket voting in Texas. The results indicate older Hispanic and African American voters will likely leave more of their ballot blank.
They don't vote candidates. They vote brand, they vote party. And again, this is detrimental to the Democrats in Texas because these people, especially Hispanics and blacks, overwhelmingly vote Democratic.
For many, the point in the ballot they'll leave is when they get to judges.
It can impact the future of thousands of local people.
Kathy Mitchell from the criminal justice group Just Liberty says the judges Central Texans elect will decide issues ranging from waiving fees for low-income Texans to implementing the new public defender's office. These elections will impact everyone who enters the judicial system.
And to the extent possible, all of the clubs and all the groups that endorse candidates should really go out of their way this year to find out what the judges-to-be philosophy is.
All right, that's our Phil Prazen in Austin. And Lubbock attorney Philip Hayes is here. And yes, he was one of those you saw on the list who is running for 99th District Court Judge. It is good to see you.
Hey, Brian, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, is it problematic for you and some other judge candidates out there knowing that even for those who actually vote, they may not get as far as getting down to the judges to make choices there at all?
Well, it is problematic, but it creates a great opportunity for us as candidates to try and press our message harder to get them interested in these races.
Isn't it interesting, though, how all this is playing out? We were talking a little bit off camera, I know, with everything in Washington going on with the president, and that might galvanize more voters to get out and vote. And I guess it gives you more opportunities, like you were talking about, to jump in there as well and introduce yourself and make yourself more known to people.
Well, it does, and you know, with everything that's happening in our country, I think it's more important now than ever for people to become aware and acquainted with candidates, the qualifications of those persons running for office. You know, some people in one party in Washington might think we have a president that's not qualified for his office, and other people think that he's a businessman and brings something different to the mix. And so being aware of what the qualities are of the candidates and the offices they're running for is very important.
It is important. You know, let's talk about the job a little bit. You know, Bill Souter had been a judge in the 99th, it seems like forever, but he'd been working in Lubbock for quite some time. Was his retirement a surprise, the fact that this is coming open now?
Well, I think that it was a surprise to a lot in the community, but he has worked hard, as you said. I think he's been in the courthouse for 25 years, in the DA's office and then as the district court. And having been a judge in the courthouse before, I got to know Bill very well, and even in 2018, he told me, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. So it didn't come as a complete shock to me, but I think his timing at this time with the election cycle coming up and all, it surprised some folks. To me, it was, I can't say I was shocked, but pleasantly surprised.
This next step for him, of course, and maybe for you. Let's talk about your credentials. You mentioned a little bit. I guess all that would start then with your being an attorney here in town for what now, 30 years?
30 years. Grew up here in Lubbock and went to Haynes, Evans, Monterey, Texas Tech. Got married, moved away for about 6 years, and was in the oil and gas business in East Texas when the 1985 oil crash happened.
Right.
And I decided I better do something else with my life, and so I went back to Tech Law School, and I've been here ever since. So after in 2017, Judge Judy Parker was appointed to the Court of Appeals in Amarillo, which left her bench open in the County Court at Law No. 3, and I was one of actually 10 or 11 people that applied for that position, and I was appointed by the county commissioners, and so I was the judge in County Court at Law No. 3 for 14 months.
So interesting, you kind of know the ins and outs of how things go over there a little bit. Of course, you did not win re-election to that job, but what do you say, though, to folks who didn't vote for you the last time when they had that opportunity? What makes you a good candidate for them right now?
Well, the people that didn't vote for me, I understand. David Nelson was my opponent at that time. God rest his soul. He was a fine man, and he and I were friends. We had worked on cases together in the past, and I was not shocked that he ran against me. He was one of the people that tried to be appointed and wasn't, and so he ran successfully. And then for the people that voted for him, I would say, look at me, look at the experience I bring, and if it hadn't been for David Nelson, I think that I would have had a better shot at running. He was a longtime Republican Party active in that pursuit,
sure,
supporting candidates, running for positions. He was a city councilman, and I'm just saying, if you have an opportunity to look at my credentials and see what I've done in the courthouse and in the community and especially in the legal field over the last 30 years, I think you would be happy with your vote.
All right. Well, tell me about some goals you might have for the court here in the future. It's not really just going from case to case. How does all that work when you try to get things through?
It's important to make sure that the cases are moving promptly through the courthouse, that the judge is there sitting on the bench listening to the cases for the lawyers that are bringing them. The client is paying the lawyer for the time that he's spending in the courtroom, and it's best for everyone to have quick but fair and judicial justice that they seek in the courthouse. When you get into a lawsuit, it's a life-changing event many times. It is very difficult on the people, it's hard on the lawyers, it's hard on the judge to sit there and make a decision for people that can't settle their own differences. And so moving cases in a fair and judicious manner is important. Treating the litigants, many of them are pro se now because they can't afford lawyers, treating them with dignity and respect as they come into the courtroom, and helping them understand how the judicial system works. And this court, the 99th District Court, is not a criminal court at this time. It has criminal jurisdiction, but by agreement, all the judges have decided that it will be a civil court. And so the car wreck cases and the malpractice cases and the civil disputes between businesses or some individual against another are the kind of cases that come in that court. Those people that come in there deserve respect because their issue is very important to them, and it's important for the judge to take their issue seriously.
Bill Hayes is a candidate for the 99th District Court judge position. Good luck to you. Good to see you.
Bryan, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Great.
And let's do this week's poll question. Have you regularly used the straight party voting option in past elections? Talk to us on our KMAC News Facebook page and on everythinglubbock.com. Click on Talking Points and give us your opinion there. Coming up, more movement in the Lubbock County Expo Center project.